Hello and welcome to IB Bio 2.3 Notes. So, monosaccharides and condensation reactions. So, we know carbohydrates are organic compounds that form the most important sources of energy. So, there are three types. So, there's monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. So, monosaccharides and disaccharides are both sugars, and they are polar and soluble in water. So, an example of a disaccharide would be sucrose, maltose, lactose. Then we have glucose, fructose, and galactose are monosaccharides. So polysaccharides are macromolecules resulting from polymerization. So it's just the condensation reactions of sugars, and they're non-soluble in water. So monosaccharides are the simplest types of carbohydrates, and there are 3 to 7 carbon atoms that join a hydroxyl group. So as I said before, an example would be glucose, fructose, and galactose. Then we have two monosaccharides, monomers. They're linked together by condensation reaction, and they form a glycosidic bond. These two monomers, when they link, they create a disaccharide, releasing one water molecule, and then several of these disaccharides linking together can form a polysaccharide. So condensation reaction is a reaction when two smaller organic molecules combine to form a larger molecule and a molecule of water or another simple molecule as byproducts. Hydrolysis reaction is basically the opposite. It's a chemical reaction in which water is used to break down the bonds of big compounds. Now, the structure and function of polysaccharides. So they play an important role in the supply and storage of energy. So glycogen is a polysaccharide that stores energy in animal cells and starch in plant cells. So they also provide structural support. So cellulose in plant cell walls, it gives them extra strength and protects the cell from overexpanding and bursting. And then starch, cellulose, and glycogen, they're only made from the same monomer, glucose, but they differ in their arrangement and position of molecules in the glycosidic bond, which is what makes them all different. Now, starch molecules, all the glucose monomers are oriented in the same direction, while in cellulose molecules, glucose monomers rotate 180 degrees around the backbone. Now, in starch, the arrangement of glucose molecules can be linear, which is called amylose, or branched, which is called amylopectin. Now, for fatty acids, they're lipids. They're a diverse group of organic compounds and are hydrophobic. So they're insoluble in water, but they are soluble in organic solvents. They mainly consist of one carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So an example of that would be triglycerides, which is one of the main groups of lipids, and they're formed by condensation reactions between one glycerol and three fatty acids, creating an ester bond. So fatty acids are carboxylic acids. So they have COOH is what that means. And they're saturated. They come in two forms, so saturated and unsaturated. So saturated fatty acids have no double bonds between any of the carbon atoms, while unsaturated fatty acids can be monounsaturated. So they have one double bond, or polyunsaturated if they have two or more double bonds in the carbon chain. And unsaturated fatty acids can either be cis or trans isomers, depending on the position of the two hydrogen atoms around the carbon backbone. So you could just check this table for reference. Now, if one fatty acid in triglyceride is replaced by a phosphate group, it produces a phospholipid. And a steroid, they're also a form of lipids, even though they don't resemble the structure. An example of steroids are cholesterol and sex hormones such as testosterone. Now, unsaturated fatty acids of the cis type are considered good fatty acids, so good but like meaning healthy, and lipids and energy storage. So lipids are better at storing long-term energy than carbs, as they have higher energy content and act as thermal insulators. They're also way lighter. They're much lighter than carbs, because a gram of lipid gives twice the amount of energy as a gram of glycogen. They're much lighter, as I said, because glycogen is usually stored with 2 grams of water, while lipids are just stored in pure energy form. Therefore, using lipids as a long-term storage molecule means that animals are lighter while having reserve energy. Now, as for health, excess fat intake, so lipids, it leads to obesity, which is unhealthy, as it could lead to heart disease, strokes, and cancer. And saturated fats and trans fats are the most dangerous fats. So there's a strong correlation between them, but no causation. Now, as for the BMI, much of us know this, body mass index, it's a measure of body fat based on height and weight. And this is how you measure it. It's weight in kilograms over height squared in meters. However, there are some limitations to this as it doesn't take in muscle mass, for example. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for